Good morning, everybody. This is Mike Ginsberg, again from Kaulkin Ginsberg, here this morning with Kirk Moquin, co-founder and chairman, I believe. He will correct me for sure. From ERC, based in Jacksonville, Florida. Kirk, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great today. How you doing today?
I can't complain, all things considered, in these strange days.
These are strange days, unprecedented days.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you take a moment, introduce yourself and introduce your company, please?
Sure. Yeah, you were correct. I am the founder and chairman of ERC. ERC is a global contact center that manages Fortune 500 customer bases. We employ nearly 6,000 people throughout the U.S., Dominican Republic, India, and South Africa. We've got a world-class management team, and in our culture and environment are just based on being entrepreneurial, being passionate, and being innovative.
That is awesome. What distinguishes you in the marketplace? Let's go a little bit further with your company. 6,000 employees is among the largest, obviously, international BPO, ARM firms in the world. Talk about the types of clients you're servicing and the types of services you're providing.
Yeah, for us, we've got a pretty broad array of clients, just in whether it's banking, financial services, retail card, utilities, cellular companies, satellite, cable, and then we're also starting to do kind of some specialty finance companies. We've tapped into kind of some earlier stage startups, and we're also starting to do we bring on some hospitals as well.
Awesome.
It's kind of a new emerging asset class for us.
Awesome. And your service offerings are split between first and third party? Are you doing more first party than you are third party work?
Yeah, no, for us, I guess we kind of break it up in two different divisions, right? We've got the, traditional collections division, which was always ERC's legacy till about 2014, 15. And then the rest is outsourcing, and outsourcing being broadly defined as, customer care, chat, tech support, things like that. And for ERC, even though we've grown, we're 20-year startup is kind of our mentality. We've grown collections consistently every year for a long time, but the outsourcing business, Mike, as you know, is 100x the size of collections. So just in the last 5 years, even with collections growing, this year our outsourcing revenues will be about 60% of our company's revenues, and collections 40. So we've had some significant growth in outsourcing, really, with our nearshore and offshore capabilities.
And speak to that just for a moment here with your growth. How have you moved employees home? And if so, how's that worked for you?
Yeah, good question. Sometimes, you got to be strategic. Sometimes luck is good too. And for us, we had a little bit of both, where last actually June, we decided to start a new at-home division in our company. And we brought aboard an operational executive, kind of a strategic executive that had experience in prior companies. But as you know, this has been around for years.
Yeah,
so we started kind of dipping our toe in the water last fall with that, and just building up different training curriculum and processes, because it is a different animal, as everyone knows now, to manage agents at home. So it was probably early February when, me and Marty, our CEO, really started talking and getting our executive team involved and just starting to plan. It's kind of crazy. We start planning worst case scenarios. And we really started with our near and far shore locations, because where we are, like a lot of things in the U.S. we take for granted, just those countries don't have the same kind of healthcare systems that we do in the U.S. So we started running worst case scenarios, saying, okay, if this continues the way it sort of seems it's going, it isn't too much of a stretch to think that we're going to get shut down eventually. So we started deploying, some at-home agent, capabilities probably late February, early March. So we've been fortunate where, we've got the vast majority of our agents in the Dominican Republic up and working from at home. India's been way more challenging, just because we actually do pure collections in India. So we didn't have that as much success there. And then South Africa, same thing as Dominican, where, it's all outsourcing, and we're continuing to ramp up agents from home as well. Even though South Africa is starting to, we're certified as an essential business there. So we're able to start bringing some employees back to the brick and mortar with social distancing. So you're balancing your work at home volume with brick and mortar, but that's been the plan offshore. And then domestically, same thing. The vast majority of our staff, have successfully migrated to working from home, and it's been going really well.
I'll tell you, this is why I get excited about these kinds of phone calls, Kirk, because I feel your enthusiasm, but also you said something very interesting. You're a 20-year startup. This is entrepreneurialism, folks, at its finest, because this industry, in my opinion, has been built on entrepreneurs. This industry, and I don't know Kurt's education, but this isn't an industry built on many different postgraduate degrees, MBAs, and the like. We get our MBAs every single day in the office that we work. Kurt's been fortunate. He's grown his business. He's recapitalized his business with private equity. He's been successful in growing and scaling organically and through acquisitions. When you get down to the core of this, this industry is driven by entrepreneurialism, and we never want to see that removed. So his enthusiasm coming through is just, it's really kind of getting me excited here, folks. So I just want to kind of say that.
Appreciate that.
Kurt, did you have any suffering of any employees who tested positive for COVID-19? And if so, how'd you deal with that?
Yeah, no, good question in these sobering times. No, we have been very fortunate in that we haven't had any employees test for positive for the virus. So we're pretty happy about that.
So personally, I'm not sure what you've had. This morning, I woke up, my wife's roommate's mother, last week healthy, this week gone to coronavirus, her roommate from college. So everybody is hit different ways. And, I know our friend Ellen is suffering right now because a week ago, her mother was fine. And these are the things that, we're all dealing with personally and professionally, but you just said you had over 7,000 lives you need to deal with as well. And that's compounded by their families and their stakeholders also. So it's a lot you're juggling, my friend.
It is, but I mean, we're no different than anyone else, Mike. And I think for us, you said a couple things, like none of us had, well, what schooling backgrounds or whatever. And my alma mater is University of Michigan, fellow Big Ten there. But, what we all have at ERC, we say we have PhDs. Because when we started, poor, hungry, determined. And that pretty much dictates who we are and what we're about. No one's given us anything. You got to go get and earn everything you have every day. And every competitor of ours, even though we beat each other up, that's kind of the respect each of us have. Iron sharpens iron, and there's a lot of great competitors, and it's a great industry, and it's an industry that you can never, you can't short American hedonism. No one wakes up and says they want to end up in a collection agency, but something happens. They get divorced, they get injured, they lose their job. So our industry, as over the years, has really morphed into, it's all customer care. At the end of the day, there's different terminology, there's different phraseologies. But I can tell you now, from having a big exposure and footprint in the customer care side of the business with current customers, we don't treat them any differently, whether they're John Doe current customer calling in for XYZ client, or Susie Doe who hasn't paid her bill in 3 years. You got to treat people the same. So for us, it's it's just a constant evolution. I think it's grow or die kind of mentality. So.
Yeah, but you do it in the right way, right? And a lot of folks, unfortunately, the media sensationalizes absolutely everything. We all kind of know that, but it's always the big bad bill collector. Well, the fact is, you're not a big bad bill collector. What has happened is this industry and companies like Kurt's have become an essential part of our economy. Now, if we were more of a socialistic economy, things might be different, but he's absolutely right. Customer care is essential. Most of the time, people want to make good on their obligations. They don't know how. They might have questions. And if that's shut off in today's world because of this coronavirus, it's going to be very, very difficult to get the economy right. And it's essential to have businesses like Kurt out there on the forefront dealing with consumer behaviors, which are erratic right now because of the circumstances.
Agreed.
Kurt, have you lost any clients who decided that they want to cease collection activity during this pandemic? I think that's quite common. Tell me about your business and what you've been experiencing.
Yeah, no, for our clients, we've had the opposite experience. I don't know about any others, but none of our clients have ceased collection activities whatsoever. I mean, just like everyone else, there's some states that, we're adhering to their wishes and not calling, and even,
but that's different. That's the regulators at the state level.
The regulator side. We're even
your clients?
more cautious on the regulator side, where maybe there's a couple other states I won't name that are barking a little bit louder than others. So we're kind of just backing off those, anticipating nuisance suits and extortion suits coming from down the road. So we cut all that out. But no, our clients have continued to be real supportive in us continuing collection activities the right way. And it's just what you said. It's, you know what, at the end of the day, it comes down to ability and willingness for consumers to pay their debts back. So that's where, you know, a big leverage point, a big advantage we have is on the data analytics side. I'll put our quants teams up against anybody's. And then if you train agents the right way and you reward them the right way, it's a super hard business, but it's not that complicated at the end of the day if you try and keep things simple.
Yeah, well said. And you said something earlier too, that you had a little bit of luck. I think luck comes to those who not only persevere, but position themselves. What you really had was foresight. You kind of saw the changes in the marketplace. You adapted quickly, and you positioned yourself to be the beneficiaries of good months right now when others are suffering dramatically. So good for you. Let's get away from the suffering and the losses at this time. Let's talk about some wins. What kind of wins are you seeing in the industry and within your company in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just go back to something else too. And it's like, it wasn't my foresight. Like, I am nowhere near the smartest person in my company. I am fortunate to have an incredible business partner and CEO, Marty Sarum, and we just have a world-class team of people that I get excited and motivated from every single day to come in, because, you know, everyone's got to bring it every day and you're only as good as your day yesterday. So I just definitely, my team is who we are. This isn't Kirk Moquin Incorporated.
But just got my sports fix. Thank you. Yeah, I haven't had sports in a few months now. Now I feel like I've got my sports fix.
Positive stuff. It's one, you know, we're having a really, really good April in the collections division. I'm surprised how well it's going. I mean, I'm not a pessimist by nature. I'm more of a realist, but I never would have bet we're having the type of April that we're having, where, I mean, it's literally, we're having kind of like heart of tax season collection days. So we're excited about that. That's a nice surprise. We're hoping that continues for a while. I hope unemployment doesn't get as bad as some of the talking heads claim it's going to be. I mean, you saw the number today, another 5.2, so that's 20 million jobs evaporated inside of 4 weeks, completely unprecedented. So even though we're having a strong April, we're not naive to, there's so much white water and unknown and unprecedented stuff ahead that we're just going to continue to have a cascading plan for anything that gets thrown our way and just continue to pivot and do the best job we can. But that's been really good. And then, you know, in addition to, I'm sure, all of our competitors and you know, comrades out there, we started, you know, holing up in early February and really drawing out defense. Fortify your balance sheet, stress test everything, make sure you're good with liquidity on the defensive side. But then we've also been committed to playing offense throughout this crisis. And it's, fortunately for us, it's worked out pretty well, where we've landed 2 significant deals. You know, one's with an existing client that we're expanding tremendously on. Another's a brand new logo, and it's we're actually starting to scale both of them in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, pretty happy about it. And scaling where some of it's a permanent work at home component, some of it's brick and mortar. But what we're doing is we're starting everyone obviously work at home to begin with, and then as we start getting, you know, these stay-at-home orders lifted over the next couple months, there'll be a big percentage of each of those that kind of go back to brick and mortar. But we think having an at-home agent base, it's an insurance policy for the future. And I can't imagine any large Fortune 500 brand that's not going to have that part of the requirement going forward for any portfolio work for them. Just my opinion.
Yeah, it's almost been forced upon the industry and lightning speed. Your cohorts in this marketplace have moved their companies home. You did it a little bit earlier than most. Some have tried. Some clients have resisted. Some states have resisted. You deal with the particulars associated with any marketplace, including this one. But you've navigated the waters successfully, and you have nearshore, you have onshore, you have offshore, you have work from home model. You have all the bases covered at this point across all market segments, as you've mentioned. So no one's insulated. This pandemic is as pervasive as anything anybody's ever seen. It's going to have financial repercussions for many, many months to come, and we will feel those. But you're ahead of the pack, and that's why I was excited about talking with you and ERC this morning, because I think you really positioned your business well, and you're taking advantage of whatever opportunities you have. Anything else on the win side that you want to share? Because I do have just a personal question I'm very curious about.
No, not on the win side. I just want to be important to point out that, hey, it isn't all sunshine and blue skies at ERC. We've had our fair share of body blows, and we've had some blood too. But I guess it just goes back to, like, I'm a big believer in mindset. And there's something we say at ERC a lot. It's things are never as good as you want them to be, but they're never as bad as they seem. And so I think if you can have a balanced approach, stay really objective, more importantly, be super proactive in all your planning so you can be real rational and objective. It's just whatever gets thrown your way, you just handle that much better. So yeah, it's been tough, but again, in addition to that defense, we've been pretty successful with offense. And no, I mean, the other positive thing is, I guess I've never been prouder in 20 years of how well our team's doing. I mean, our team is so gritty. It's like, words can't describe it, how gritty everyone is. And just, I think I look at all the downturns, right? Because we're a 20-year-old startup. So there was the dot-com blow up in 2000. There was 9/11. There was the credit crisis. There was the nuclear winter, I called it, in the collections world after the credit crisis. And the one thing that holds true every single time is we completely reinvent our business every single time these big market gyrations happen. So you don't always know how you're going to come out of it, but I guess we all on my team just have this belief, because we've done it multiple times, we're going to come out different than we did coming in. And I guarantee it, and I know it's going to be a lot better than it was before. We have an innovative environment, but it pushes you to be more innovative. It pushes you to take even bigger chances and risk that time. And so obviously I wish that the crisis never happened, just from a humanity standpoint, and the economic damage and carnage that it's going to cause for a long time is even, more disturbing when you think about it. But, putting that aside, it's like, there's going to be some incredible things that come out of this, not just for ERC, I think for the industry and for people that really believe the best days are ahead, right? Like, we are the most resilient industry there is. We're all crazy because we operate in this industry that's the hardest industry there is. And any one of us, if we left to ran other businesses, we'd be like, oh my God, this is so much easier than the nonstop, constant, call them what you want, punches, things out of right field. I mean, you're only as good as what you plan, but we guarantee a couple things are going to happen every single year you can't plan for. And I think that's a positive mark for the industry, because there's not a lot of industries that can go through what we go through, regulatory wise, politically, financially, M&A, all this stuff that, I guess we're, all of our skins are so thick that I think for me, again, just having the right mindset, saying, you know what, I wish this didn't happen, but I'm excited about the ERC, because I really believe, and as do our entire staff, our best days are ahead of us.
Well, I have a saying, complacency is a cancer. And what I'm hearing right now, what we're seeing just in a short time, but I've known ERC since inception, and I'll tell you, they are the polar opposite of complacency. And as a result of the proactivity and foresight that they have, they and as Kurt said, his entire team's really positioned themselves well. Nobody's immune. Everybody's dealing with this catastrophe head on. When I got into this business 30 years ago, everybody thought it was a great business because it was recession proof. Well, what I learned was this industry is not recession proof. I thought it was also recession resistant, lagging behind most indicators coming out first. Recession's a good time to be in the collection business. People are going back to work. People are paying their bills. And then the Great Recession hit, and it punched this industry square in the jaw. And what I learned is this industry is not recession resistant, and it's not recession proof. It's vulnerable. And the vulnerabilities came through loud and clear 10 years ago. Can't believe it's been over 10 years now since that major turn in the economy. This may pale in comparison to that. That may pale in comparison to this pandemic and what we're dealing with right now. But it's very refreshing to sit on the phone with a gentleman like this and just feeling his energy coming through. Let's digress just a little bit here. I'm just going to ask you, you're home.
Yep.
I'm home with my wife. She's still putting up with me after 26 years. 2 more months, she might walk away. But for now, she's still here. My two boys, 22 and 21, if you said a month ago that they would be under my roof again for an extended period of time, Kurt, I would have thought you were crazy. I never thought that would have happened again in my life. And while sometimes, I mean, they're growing men and they have opinions. So sometimes we clash. We do that on the phone too. But to have them here, there's no better thing. And I think that's the silver lining of this pandemic, is having my boys here at home. Who's at home with you?
Yeah, wife's at home, same thing. We're doing, I think, as well as you can be doing under the circumstances, 20 plus years as well there. Then I've got two boys, 16 and 11. Okay. So, yeah, it's good to have them home, but it's good to kick them out of the house too sometimes, because
they got a lot of energy.
They're 16 and 11, man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and no sports to play, so they got to go out and find the things to do. What are you guys binge watching?
I'm not a big TV guy. Like, I wrapped up Narcos not too long ago, which I hadn't seen in a while. But
you like it?
Yeah, I think it was phenomenal. I'm really more into kind of podcasts. So I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. So there's so many good ones he has, and like one of my
look a little like him
now every single night is, I live in a beach community, so I'll get on a bike, because we can still ride bikes here, and I'll go on real long bike rides outside and just listen to some classic Joe Rogan podcasts. So.
Is he still doing mixed martial arts?
He
guy's a badass.
Professionally, like, he still interviews a lot of those guys, but he's got like physicists, he's got futurists on, he's got deep thinkers that get into some huge topics that are, pretty interesting to listen to if that's your thing.
Well, if you're looking for something, Tom Clancy wrote a number of good books, and I think it's on Amazon. Jack Ryan. 2 seasons of Jack Ryan. It's a little weird watching the guy from The Office play that role, but he does a great job. He beefed up and he beats up people. But we're done with that. We're moving on to season 3 now of Ozark. And season 1 of Ozark was fantastic. So I'm looking forward to season 3. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of other things to do. I'm trying to take advantage of this opportunity to focus in on myself for a change, and like you said, the exercise and the eating right, and just kind of, there will be life after this for most of us, God willing. And if there is, we all want to take advantage of it. Yeah. Kurt, I'll say this to you. Thank you very much. You were gracious with your time. You explained a lot of things. I think people who listen to this will get a lot of benefit out of it. So we'll post it very shortly. But thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this morning.
Oh, appreciate it, Mike. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity. It's always great talking to you. And I think the last parting message is not just an ERC mantra, but for everyone, like, keep playing to win. Like, this industry is going to be around. We're going to be around.
Amen.
Yeah. So keep playing to win.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Have a good one.